is John Ramsey, and this is My Big Comeback. I'm so excited that you're joining us today. I have very special guests in the studio today, Zack and Olivia Sanchez. So glad to have you two, and I appreciate you coming out to talk with me.
Thank you. Thanks for asking us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure.
You know, I'm seeing you all everywhere, like super couple, like involved in everything. And so I just got to ask you, how did the two of you meet?
I'll let her take that.
No.
I don't want to get the details wrong, get in trouble later.
It's
So I'll
gonna be
let.
documented
Yeah, I
today,
know. So we'll let her take that
No
one.
pressure. I already forgot. I'm just kidding. So we went to school together, but we weren't really in the same circle of friends because he was 2 grades ahead of me. And then it was funny because a couple of years before we actually started dating, somebody multiple times tried to set us up on a blind date, and we didn't know it was each other, which was just so funny. And then we just, I guess, like early adulthood, just became friends.
Yeah, I think to your point, there was a lot of local events that would happen where there was business after hours, chamber,
same place, same time.
and we'd end up
Yes.
at all the community events after hours and things that happened. And
We
so
were the only
we were the only like
25-year-olds.
the young 20-year-olds and the youngest people in the room. So we'd naturally be like, hey, you going to that tonight? I'll see you there. Hey, be my tag along partner.
Well, a couple, that's just interesting to people. And so that's very attractive to have a family unit that's representing things. And you're involved in a lot of things. Give me just a rundown of what you're involved in the community. And we'll talk about Think in a few minutes.
Yeah, no. I saw that question, and right now, like if you were to ask, like, hey, what boards I'm involved in, I personally got off all the boards. I was on the Yacht Club board, United Way, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Chamber. There was a lot of Habitat for Humanity. But recently, after our 3rd kid, I kind of rolled off a lot of them. But we were the chairs for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and that's probably our most near and dear charity to our heart that we spend a lot of time and money with. So that's probably the biggest one that we're.
What was Big Brothers and Big Sisters focus on? What's their focus of their charity?
It's mentorship, so one-on-one mentorship. So they'll have people in different life scenarios, but either it's a young female or young male, and they're looking for somebody to spend a couple hours a week with
beautiful.
them. And you'd be surprised at how little time. They just want some attention from somebody to believe in them and give them some guidance. And Olivia was a big for quite a while, and it's great to see her little, graduate from college now
flourishing.
and doing great things. And it just really shows that those efforts work.
So are y'all in everything together, or are you in some other stuff, Olivia?
I think I will say we used to be in a lot of things together, but I think now as our life has evolved and our children, we're kind of a little bit more separate.
Divide
now.
and conquer.
Yeah, we have to divide and conquer now. But I love Big Brothers and Big Sisters, but another one that's really near and dear to me is Impact 100.
Yeah.
We helped bring that. I helped with a bunch of other women bring that to this area.
That's fantastic.
And it's incredible. It really is.
Was last year your first year?
It was. That was
For
our
Bay
first
County?
year for Bay County, and we're actually covering 6 counties. It's basically like the 14th Judicial Circuit is what we're covering. And to become Impact 100, you have to have 100 members. And we got 307 our first year.
So do I understand all 300, they give $1,000?
They do. And so now, actually next month, we're getting closer and closer to finding those 3 grant recipients, which are nonprofits in those 6 counties. And then they each will get a $100,000 grant.
Wow.
It's really incredible.
So you give 3 $100,000 grants. That is incredible.
Yes.
That's a life changer.
It is.
And that's a real help to these organizations. That's fantastic.
It is. We wanted transformational change, and I think 100,000 will help do
Yes.
that.
They worked really hard last year.
We did.
That's
We did.
fantastic. So Think Real Estate is one of the things you founded, and it's different than some other companies. Tell me about it a little bit.
Yeah, the one thing I always, we always like to use the word culture. And people have this word of what culture is. And, our mission statement is, how can we positively influence and uplift those that God places in our path? And so really, I think if we just focus everything around that, it's whether it's our customers, whether it's our agents, whether it's our vendors, no matter who it is, it's like, hey, did we leave them with a positive impact?
Yes.
And all our agents kind of rally around that. And so our goal is, hey, when you see a green light bulb or interact with somebody who's a part of Think, your day was better because of it.
That's fantastic.
And so our agents have really grasped upon that, and hopefully that's what we've achieved in the community. We're not perfect by
How
any
many
means.
agents do you have now?
40 something, give or take.
That's
Depends
great.
on it. Something. We were up to 85 a few years ago, but we realized quality is better than quantity.
Yes.
And so we've kind of dwindled that number back, and we
It's
got
a pretty tight team.
a tight team of everybody there. We'd vouch for and tell you they're rock stars.
Tell me about the cap. I don't understand it.
Cap, yeah. So in our world, let's say we sell your house, and let's say we get both sides of the deal, buyer and seller, and charge you 6%, and it's $100,000 house. Then the brokerage would take in $6,000 and disperse it to the agents. Okay. Now there's splits, so they give us a certain portion and they keep a certain portion. So those splits are normally 70-30, 80-20, 90-10, whatever it is. But once they give us $40,000 in the calendar year, they're done and they can keep that. So once they've contributed $40,000 to the company, they get to keep the rest of their commission.
Wow.
So
Makes a big difference for an agent.
So if you're a top producer and you do a lot, then really you get to limit the cost into it, and you can really keep 100% of your commitments. Like we just had one in 3 months cap out. So all commissions he makes, he'll keep all of them.
And you realize, Zach, that is different thinking than most people, because most business people, it's give me as much as I can get, and that's a different mindset.
Well, I've learned I don't need the full amount of the pie. I just need my little share of the pie, and to make everybody else get their share too.
Makes a difference, though. Helping people makes a difference.
Yeah. So
That's part of your overall thing, is to be involved and help people. And I know that when we look back at people that inspire us, one of my inspirations is Apostle Nolan Ball. The late Apostle Nolan Ball. He's just such a big impact in my life, but I know he's part of your life as well.
Yeah. He was a big mentor in our life. Just gave sound wisdom and a lot of advice on how to keep God first, how to pay your tithe. That obedience is better than sacrifice, and just a lot of little things in life that go a long way. That he lived life, and he was able to show me how to do those things.
So many times in life you have those people that inspire you, and they come up. The things they've said, things you learn come up, and it sounds like a lot of Apostle Ball comes up in your understanding of how to treat people and be good to people.
Yeah, I was blessed with a lot of great people in my life that taught me how to treat people really well. My uncle Pedro was the general manager at the paper mill for 30-something years,
That's great.
and he knew every single person's name, and he would do anything for his employees, and it just taught me, like, hey, no matter where you're at in life, be there for your people.
What about you, Olivia? Who's a big inspiration to you that you can think of?
I have, I guess, maybe a couple just kind of growing up and being around other people or other, I guess, influential people. But then, like, when I married Zach, and now I look back at it and I was like, well, he's kind of like a really big inspiration.
That's great.
Well, it was funny because I was talking to my assistant this morning and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at the questions. I'm like, my biggest inspiration, I don't know, my parents, my pastor, I don't know. And Anna was like, I think Zach is like one of your really big inspirations. And I was like, yeah, I need to make sure he answers first, because if I answer first, he's going to change his answer and say Olivia. But
Olivia.
he had to. No, but you just are so wise, and I sometimes am quick to speak, and Zach's slow to speak and quick to listen, and we balance each other out really well.
Yeah,
I'll
we
say
do.
that. But no, I just, the way he handles situations, and then just like your faith, I'll get really caught up in something, or maybe even a little upset or worried, and I mean, he's just so like this all the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, why would you worry about that? Like, God's got us. It's totally fine.
That's great.
And so just things like that, it's really stuck
I think
with
it's
me.
beautiful that Zach's one of your inspirations. I think it's great.
I want to go tear up real quick, John.
Yeah, right. He doesn't cry.
A part of what I wanted to do with my big comeback is journey stories, because everybody, if you're a successful person or whatever you've done or achieved, you did that through something. Vince Lombardi has a great quote that says, the man on top of the mountain didn't fall there. They had to climb up there. And journeys is not always good news. It's not always positive things. Sometimes there's some pitfalls or challenges. And there's even some times where maybe you did think of giving up. What were some of the challenges or pitfalls that you faced in building your business and your life?
Yeah. I don't ever believe in any regrets or anything like that, but I think one of the biggest things was learning that, I guess whether it's partnerships or whatever it is you're doing, is going above and beyond. Even if you're right, it's okay for you to not win in that scenario.
Yeah.
and just really learning to humble yourself. I think in a lot of scenarios, like even if you're rightfully so, you don't have to. God's got you in the end.
Yes.
We're so nearsighted.
He holds the balance.
Exactly. You know, we're so nearsighted that we figure out we have to win today when really we fail to see the end picture and the end goal. I think it's just tough because we both want to be liked by everybody. Yeah. It's hard to please everybody. Yeah. And a lot of times you'll bend over backwards to please someone and then they're not even happy with it. Yeah. And that's really probably the hardest thing I've had to learn, and just be at peace with it, you know?
Yeah, be at peace with sometimes people are disappointed or sometimes people are unhappy. What about you, Olivia?
See why he's my inspiration? I'm like, no, I'm going to tell them I'm right, and this is why I'm right. No, I'm just kidding.
I get it.
I think I've had a lot, I guess, happen in my life, and some things I talk about, some things I don't talk about, but some of those... I worked really hard starting at a young age. Like, my parents have Granny Cantrell's. And so I started working there, when I was 12. And when I turned 14, I decided I liked politics, and I was interning. And I worked for free for probably 6 years, just interning and making connections and grinding. But it was weird because I didn't even know what I was doing because I was so young. And then it, later paid off. When I moved to Tallahassee and stuff, and it's been great, and now I'm not even involved in politics anymore. But I think just working really hard and working for free and not hanging out with my friends as much as my friends were hanging out, or, just kind of that sacrifice led me to, I guess, maybe my discipline today or my routines today. And then, I went through a lot of health things I remember you messaging me. It was probably, I don't even think we may have been dating. I don't even know if we were dating.
I saw the story in, what was it?
It was Panama City Living. Yes. And that was one of the things I don't really talk about a lot, something I went through with my life, and it caused a lot of stress. And I got diagnosed with MS, and I already have some autoimmune diseases. So this was just like throwing another one on top of it. But just learning to cope with that and how to deal with it, and then also realizing how it can help other people. And I think that's my biggest thing. You deal with it well, because none of us would know. Yes. None of us would know what you're dealing with. Yeah, that's true. So that means you deal with it well. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, and I think, I think it's inspirational when I see people and then hear their stories, because you would never know that that's their story. But I'm that's inspirational. You're inspirational. Thank you. But I think that's cool, because I'm like, well, you are dealing with it well. And if some people have no idea, then, that's a testament to that. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And let me just say that Granny Cantrell's is one of my favorite restaurants. So I mean, like the Friday seafood thing. The Friday seafood is good. Yeah, I love it. Shrimp. It's just great. It's just great. I think we all have challenges. We all have things that there are those moments where you're stressed, you're strained. But you have to keep going. You have to keep going, and that's part of growth. I tell people all the time that, blessing really means completion. And so, like, when you say to someone, God bless you, you're really saying God complete you. And it's not a one-time event. It's a life process. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So God is blessing me as I live. And what happens is there's more of me. I'm more blessed than I was last week because there's more of me. God's replaced, repaired, or installed more of me than was there last week. And I'm going to talk with you some more. I'm going to take it just a break, just a moment. This is John Ramsey with My Big Comeback. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to connect your organization with an audience that is eager for inspiration? My Big Comeback, hosted by John R. Ramsey, shares powerful stories of resilience and redemption, featuring guests who have turned life setbacks into major comebacks. New episodes drop the 1st and 15th of every month. For those interested in being a part of this community, sponsorship opportunities are now available. To learn more, contact Sophia Tim at sophiatimhwc@gmail.com. Let's make a comeback together.
This is John Ramsey, and I'm back with you on My Big Comeback. I've got Zack and Olivia Sanchez talking with me today. Here's one of the things I believe, that inspired people inspire people. So, you've got to have some wants, some desires, some bucket lists. And some people's are different than others. Some people like to travel. Some people, they want certain things or they want to see certain things. what's some of the things on the Zack and Olivia bucket list? What's some things you'd like to do or see?
I'm gonna let her go first on this one.
No.
Now
you'd
I'll
like to do or
go.
see?
I was thinking about that. One of my goals I'd like to work towards is I'd like to be able to vacation for 1 month every summer with my family in the Bahamas.
Oh, that's great.
That's one of my goals here in the next 5 years, to be able to take off of work for 1
You
month.
like the Bahamas?
Never been.
Never been?
I've never. Well, I think I may have been on a cruise. Just be somewhere with your family for a month and unplug.
Yeah.
And create memories.
I've actually taken off 1 month in my life where I took off a month years ago. And it was the greatest thing in the world because there's always, I know as busy as you are, the phone is always pulling you back into something that has to be taken care of. And if you get away for a month, you'll be surprised at how much of it will be handled without you.
Exactly, and that's what I'm looking
You almost
for.
have to make yourself.
Yeah. So I
you'd
think we're
like
gonna do
to
that
go
this
to
year, right?
Bahamas for a month. What about you, Olivia? What's some of the
Well,
things?
it's funny that you brought up a vacation because I think that one of ours, I would love to have a vacation home somewhere to be able to go and unplug and bring the whole family. So I think that's kind of mine, whether it's.
Yeah. Have y'all done much traveling?
Yeah, we do a decent amount. I don't really do a ton, but we do a decent amount.
Yeah.
Where do we go?
Not so
Where's
much.
one of your favorite places you've been to?
I don't know where we've been.
I don't know. A lot. Let's see. What's our favorite?
Y'all been to California?
Went
Yep.
to Napa.
Oh yeah, we
Napa
did
was
love
great.
Napa.
Yeah.
We talk about Napa
yeah.
all the time.
That there's a train you take through the mountains. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I've seen
Yes.
that's beautiful. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would definitely go back.
Napa
to
was
Napa.
great.
Napa.
Mexico's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What part of Mexico did you go to?
Playa Mujeres.
Yeah. On the west coast?
Nope.
No, it's
On
on
the
the
Gulf
east.
Coast?
Yep, on
Yeah.
the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, on the Gulf side.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Cancun's on the west, I think.
Yeah, mostly I've done the Gulf Coast side.
Yeah.
I haven't really been to the other side.
Yep.
What about New York? You like New York?
Love New York.
They've got that.
Now they have a direct
that direct flight to New York.
Yeah. It's a little busy for me,
Yeah,
you know.
New
I'm a little
York's a
Panama
little
City
busy.
boy, you know.
It is a little busy.
A little different. That's her pace.
I don't like it at Christmas, but I like it the other times. So Christmas is too busy.
Yeah.
Too many people at one time. But I like it. I like to go see the city and all. I like out west. I like, I'm kind of got an out west background. My mother is from New Mexico, so
Okay.
I still have a lot of family out there. So there's that whole childhood memory of being out west and stuff that I like. That it's a different feel.
Yeah.
It's a different
Yeah.
feel of things.
It is.
Yeah. So tell me this, like overseas, have you done any international travel?
No.
No.
Yeah,
So
no.
just in the Caribbean,
Yeah, yeah.
around the Gulf
Yeah.
Coast, but
Picked out a
just
place to go.
lower.
Yeah.
I think we'll wait till the kids get older.
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
It is a
that.
little more challenging traveling with kids, and you have little kids, so it's a
Yeah.
little more challenging and stuff. But
Yes.
there'll come a time for all that.
They're happy just playing in the sand.
They're happy just playing in the
know.
sand, just anywhere.
We went.
Yeah, we went to Disney World and you spend all this money, and the happiest they were was rolling around in the sand at the resort.
Yeah.
You know?
And I was like, we have this in our neighborhood
Yeah.
or our yard, and that's where they were happy.
As I get older, we went to the Universal the other day, and I told Brandy, I said, "Did I say this last time, or this is my last trip here?" I said, "I think I said that the last time we came because it is so much,
Yeah.
with the crowds and the lines and all that, and now we plan a resort day in between. We don't go park.
Yeah, that's what
we'll
we
do
said.
a park.
Yep.
We'll do a day at the hotel, the pool,
Yep.
and then go back to the park because I just can't hardly do the everyday thing. Is too much. It's,
Yep,
it's
it's too
stressful.
much.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
stressful, and I don't want to go on vacation and be stressed.
No.
That's right.
I don't like that. So when we travel, we've seen most of the big things in the United States, but we're about to the place. Our youngest is about ready to go. She's finishing up high school these next couple of years, and I think we're going to hit the road a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe do something, get out of the
It's
country,
time.
do a little bit of traveling. It'll be time for us and all. So let me ask you this: what are we reading these days? We're talking about the more personal side of Zack and Olivia. Tell us what you're reading these days.
The last book I finished was The Bait of Satan. Right now I'm in Bill Johnson's book.
The Bait of Satan. Is that about offense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
think
great
I've read
book.
that.
It's a
Yeah, I
great
think
one.
I've read that.
I enjoyed that one.
I think one of our Sunday school classes did a study.
Yeah, there's a Bible study on it.
Yeah.
So I alternate between those, spirituality books and then business books, whether it's The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, Scaling Up, different books like that. I mean,
How was
there's-
scaling up? Did you see a lot of challenges with your size business going bigger?
no, you know what I've learned is you got these books with these formulas of how to do it in the corporate America world. But I think sometimes we have so many ideas, yet we execute very few of them.
Yeah.
And so I'm learning to just say, hey, Lord, what am I supposed to do today? And let's just execute that.
Well, and you know what else I found is no matter what the formula is, because there's a million different formulas on how to make your church grow, the variable in every formula is the people.
Yeah.
And so all the people are different, so the formulas don't really apply with that set of people. You know, it just depends on who you have around you and your team building and all. Mentorship, discipleship, I think you're big into that.
Yeah, you know, I've got a few people in my life that I consider like my mentors that really, if I go to them for some advice, you know, they're kind of that same 5 to 10 years ahead of me in life, so they give me some good wisdom. But then also just reading and just asking people questions like yourself when, you know, you just go to lunch, and I like to always end with, hey, can you give me one piece of advice you'd give your 33-year-old self? Or whatever age I am at that moment, like what advice could you give me that you wish you would have known?
That's a good question.
So get ready for that. Think about that one.
That's a good question. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know what my answer would
Go
be.
ahead. All right.
My answer would be spend more time with your family.
Yeah. See, try to be a month in the Bahamas. You see,
a month in the Bahamas. That's the best thing in the world for you, because I think that when I was younger, I was so focused on, you know, church, grow, that I missed a lot of important times, and I really regret it. I really do know now that if I decide to take off a month, it'll be fine when I get back. There's some things that won't get done, and it won't matter.
Yeah.
There's some things that won't happen, and it won't matter. There's be maybe 1 or 2 opportunities missed. It won't matter. God will supply some other opportunities. That take off, spend some time with your family, especially while they're young. Don't miss those years. That's what I would say to young families.
Oh.
Yeah. So what about you, Olivia? What are you reading? You laughed when I asked that question.
She got a book.
So I can't wait to hear
she
it.
got a book.
It's kind of an ongoing joke with us because I don't read a lot. I grew up reading a book a week because that was the rule in our house.
Yeah, good rule.
Yeah, so I read a lot, and then I kind of just stopped.
She reads this thing called TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
You know, TikTok, the book of TikTok.
I mean, I'm a big Audible person. I don't read anymore.
Well, I can't get into the Audible books. I've got or the audiobooks. I've got to have like a
People tell
hard
me they
copy.
get distracted. I don't.
Yeah,
I can't do audiobooks. I have to read.
I can't do it. But
I like Audible because I can do it while I'm driving the car or raking the yard. I'm fine with it. But some people, it doesn't hold their attention. They want thinking of something else.
That's what happens to me. But I just, you've mentioned our kids are young. We had 3 in 3 years. So I'm just in the thick of it right now at the house, and, working some too. So I really don't have a lot of spare time. Like we don't even have cable at our house because we're on the Netflix Kids channel or YouTube TV.
They kind of control the TV.
Yeah. So I'm like, I haven't watched the news in some time, and it's been kind of nice. I'm not going to lie.
How like challenges with electronics and kids? I mean, do you feel it? Is it a problem? Is it something that bothers you, or what do you feel about it?
It does not bother me. I don't know if he feels a certain way, but I know like we went to Vivian's 5-year-old checkup last week, and they were like, okay, is she spending 25 minutes or less in front of the screen a day? Yeah. And, it may seem like a lot, or maybe it doesn't seem like a lot, but they do it in the morning. We don't do it all day, obviously, but some of those videos are like also extremely educational. Yeah. And I'll tell the story of Vivian. We were talking about Easter, and I ended up asking her where she learned this, and she was like, well, Mom, they call him Baby Jesus, so the Baby Jesus videos. And I was just like, okay, that's so cool. But she told me, we were in the car, my little sister got her a chocolate cross, and we were talking for Easter, and so I was reminding her the real story of Easter, and she was like, Mom, I know that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just making sure, because, we talk a lot about the Easter bunny, and I want you to know the real meaning for Easter. And she was like, well, I know who put them there on that cross. And I said, who? And she said, the Finney's. And I love to take credit. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And Zach said, where'd you learn that? And I was like, well, obviously me. And she was like, the Baby Jesus videos. And I was like, see, so it's not,
there's a positive side.
There is. It's not all. I think
parents just have to regulate it.
You just have to regulate it. Yeah, but it's not.
Can't let them watch everything.
Right.
But there's some positive stuff on there.
Right. They learn some too. It's not all bad. So I'm not one of the moms that says no screen time. But
I know some people are real rigid with it, and once again, I just don't think life is one size fits all. I just don't feel like that rule applies for every single family and every child. Children are different. They need different things. Different things work with different. I'm up to 5 grandchildren now. Just had number 5.
That's awesome.
And they're all different. They're all different. They all have different needs, different interests, and it's important that you don't try to make everyone wear the same size shoes.
That's right.
It's just not going to work.
That's absolutely right.
So tell me about, if you could add one thing to Bay County, something we don't have, what would it be? What would you like to see our community
I was thinking,
have?
go ahead.
I really miss our mall.
Yeah.
I wish we had a mall.
Yeah.
I wish
I miss the mall.
I wish we had a
I
mall.
do miss the mall.
to that point, I don't know what it would be, but I wish there was something that, whether you're a teenager or someone in your 20s, could go to that's not centered around alcohol.
Yeah.
Or something like, not to say that that's a bad thing, but more of just what can we get together and go do that's not just centered around eating and drinking, whatever that may be, on this side of the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way things are developing around, Hobby Lobby, Cracker Barrel, all that.
Yeah.
It's great to see, but it's painful to look over your shoulder and see the old Panama City Mall. And I know there's a lot of different ideas of what that could or couldn't be. From what, now I may be wrong on this, and you may know more, Zach, with real estate, but the Dillards and the Pennies and the Sears were all individually owned.
Correct.
And so I guess is it the challenge of developing it around those, or would you have to buy them out, or what's the deal?
I don't know the exact answer there, but you would have to negotiate with the one seller, and then each one of them, and that's
Makes it so complicated.
Yeah, imagine negotiating with 10 different people.
Yeah, makes it so complicated.
It's very complicated. So I don't know. One day something will happen, but I'm sure they'll hold out to the very last minute till they get highest and best price. That's what people do.
When I see something like that, I'm instantly drawn back to Hurricane Michael. It comes up on every podcast with every person I talk about because it affected everybody so much. Our church was torn down, and I shouldn't show this every time, but it always comes up. I was in Dothan, and I saw this book, Abandoned After the Storm, Hurricane Michael. I said, no, that's about us, whatever, that's cool. So I go to buy it, and I set it on the counter at the bookstore, and it's a picture of my church on the back.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
And
there
I
it is.
didn't know it, didn't know this person, didn't know the book. And it really shocked me. But when I see things like the Panama City Mall, I instantly think of, those unresolved, because there's 1,000 homes like that in Bay County, like the Panama City Mall, that are destroyed and not built back. There's businesses that are destroyed and not built back. And I just think the lasting impact on our community is something that I think some people forget about. Our church was destroyed. We had 4 buildings, 3 of them had to be demolished by a bulldozer. Gone. And we're still not built back yet. And we're working on it very, very slowly, but it's a challenging time for people. Yeah. Have you said, I know the market had a huge shift, since before storm, after storm. Is it slowing down? Is it getting a medium area, or is it,
fast forward post storm, you got all this housing needs, so inventory gets shrunk really low. Then it kind of gets somewhere decent, and then COVID hits, and now we become the most discovered place in the United States because we're a free state at the time. And so our inventory just gets thrown where people are just buying low interest rates. And now, so rates are up to 6.5, and kind of those people have now, you're not getting those waves. Everybody's working from home. People are going back
in
to.
My history of real estate is a good rate.
Yeah, exactly. It's still.
I think we got spoiled with thinking it's going to be 2 or 3%, which is crazy. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, so we went through this growth cycle. So now, months of inventory is about 10 months right now, and
Which is normal.
Balanced market is 6.
6. Okay.
So now you're in a buyer's market. But that's across the board. So your luxury waterfront homes are moving well. Your entry level $300,000 houses are moving well. It's the in between stuff. It's like, hey, do I have to upgrade my house? Like we live in a 4-bedroom house, and my office is in the garage. We'd love to have a 5-bedroom house, but do I want to go? Do we want to go spend that extra money to go? Is it worth it?
Yeah.
And so that's why so that price point takes a hit there where it's slower to move.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think is the hottest area in Bay County right now as far as buying houses, selling houses?
Well, you go.
Sweet Bay. I'm
Sweet
just
Bay.
kidding.
Yes,
Our
it is.
neighborhood, John.
It's a beautiful neighborhood.
It's amazing.
Honestly, I lived in Kings Point, right around the corner. I loved my house. There was no part of me that wanted to get rid of my house. But we wanted a different neighborhood. We wanted a place where our kids could run around and Olivia have friends and hang out. And it has proven to be exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
She has a girl gang of friends that hang out by the pool all summer and go to each other's house and that neighborhood camaraderie is what we wanted, and that's what we got in Sweet Bay.
I love it. I kind of joked when I said that, but I do think that it's popular. But
yeah, I think it's popular. I mean, you got different pockets. Margaritaville in the West
Is
End.
Margaritaville the only 55 up community in Bay County?
Correct.
It is. Yes.
Yeah. So,
How's that working?
They normally, at the height, they were doing 60 contracts a month and capped it. Now I think they're about 30 to 40. But they're still rocking and rolling really well. That 79 corridor is going to be where everything's at in the next 10 year.
Yeah.
I thought, like I said,
new hospital going in there.
Yeah.
Lots going on with all that. Any other new developments besides Margaritaville on 79 there?
79 corridors getting majorly redeveloped. There's not really a ton of there's a lot of stuff in the works, but nothing groundbreaking that right now probably the downtown marina is probably the biggest project that people are trying to debate on how to get that one done. The St. Andrews one's got leased out to Gorman. So the downtown marina is going to be the next step.
So like on Walton County 30A, is it peaked? Is it still growing like crazy, or where's it at?
It's still growing like crazy. I mean,
Like crazy.
that's one of the markets that doesn't ever get
You
affected.
see those prices, you think, man, how could? And then they go up and they keep selling.
Yeah, I mean, it's considered the Hamptons of the South.
Yeah, I believe it.
And so
It is beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And you got the 1%ers of the world buying $8 million homes here and not ever stepping foot in there.
Yeah, that's a different life. Yeah,
different lifestyle behind our comprehension today.
That's great. Listen, we're going to take one more break. You're watching My Big Comeback with John Ramsey.
Heroes Child is a nonprofit organization that is on a mission to help community heroes with the everyday cost of childcare. We know that heroes like our military personnel, first responders, and foster families need care for their children. Heroes Child awards these families scholarships that go to help pay their childcare tuition. Use the QR code on the screen to donate now or visit heroeschild.org today.
This is John Ramsey returning with Zack and Olivia Sanchez on My Big Comeback. So one of my favorite quotes is my mind goes blank. What's one of your favorite quotes?
I'll let you want to go ahead.
Okay, well I can go.
Yeah,
sure.
I can go. You lead us off.
So I think my pastor said it years ago, and I actually referenced it in that Panama City Living magazine article that I did. But it's your biggest, hurdles or hardships can be somebody else's greatest encouragement or greatest blessings. And not that, you getting hurt or going through something makes somebody else happy. It doesn't mean that. It means, you can use your story to encourage others or to help others. And I think I'm really big on it's not just about us, but there's a bigger, higher purpose. And I think real estate's part of that too, because, we had those billboards for a little bit that said, there's a higher purpose and there's a bigger purpose. And that just really rings true to my heart, because, if I go through X, Y, and Z and it was really hard, I know my testimony can help somebody else who may be going through that or encourage them.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
I like that one.
Did you remember your Zack?
Yeah, so, there's a lot of great quotes out there that I love. It really matters what flavor of the month I'm in, I guess. And I posted it today, but there's a scripture in Proverbs. I didn't say it verbatim, but it basically says a wise man holds his tongue, even though everything he can say is right. And the older I got, the time goes on, the deals I get, a lot of times it's just keeping your mouth shut.
Just keep your mouth.
A lot of times the best response is no response.
Yeah.
And we tend to take a lot of control and we try to prove ourselves right, but really that goes to pride. When we try to prove ourselves right, it's our pride getting in the way. And so I learned to speak less.
Speak less.
Speak less.
I'm an anti-strife person. I hate strife. And if you can work it out and resolve it, do it. Do it. I mean, I remember what my quote was. It's don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid to succeed at things that don't matter. And the sad thing is, it's been said by so many people, I don't really know who first said it, but I think I'm a big list person. On Monday mornings, I sit down with a big pad of paper and I write down everything I want to do that week. Everything, I try to, and I sit there for a good hour just thinking of, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I try to put on things that are important, and I find myself getting caught up in something that really is not important, but I'm spending a lot of time on it. And that's when I go back to my list and I say, that's not what I need to be doing. This is what I need to be doing. This is what I wanted to accomplish this week. Because there's so many detours, there's so many things that life comes up and different things come up. And if you're not careful, you'll get scatterbrained where you're doing 15 things that do not matter, and avoiding the thing that really does matter. So I have to get good. The busier I get at shutting stuff off and saying, okay, I've spent all the time I want on that, I'm not done. And then, learning to delegate. Because and there's something that me and Brandy are going through right now, because she's changing roles a little bit at the school, and I told her, I said, if you try to do it all, that's not going to work. Yeah. I know you're going to crash. Why do you think I'm going to crash? I know you're going to crash, because you can't do everything you were doing and then take on all these other things. Well, I said, why don't you have so-and-so do that? And she said, well, they won't. I said, look, if it's got to be done exactly like you want it, that means you have to do it all. So I had to learn early on that I turn a lot of stuff over, and it's not exactly the way I would do it, but it gets done, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be exactly the way I would do it. Just get it done, and that's part of delegating, is allowing people to do it a little different than you.
Yeah. One of my quotes I like is, it's less important what we decide we're going to do, but that we do decide and do.
Yes, because indecision is a decision. Indecision is a decision not to get as much done. I could talk to you all day. Now, let me tell you, you're the first couple that I've had on. And I could talk to you all day. I know you got all kind of wisdom that you weren't able to share because we've run out of time. But I would like to have you all on again, and let's talk a little further about this stuff. I appreciate everything that you're doing in the community, and y'all are rock stars. I mean, if I say Zack and Olivia, people know exactly who I'm talking about. And I appreciate the way you value people, and I appreciate you talking to us on My Big Comeback.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zack.
Well, I got one question for you, another question for
Sure.
you. All right, so what's John Ramsey's mission? If you say, hey, I want people to know this about me, like this is what I'm about.
I really am a people person, and I want to help people, and I try to do that in everything that I do. And even with this show, what I wanted to do was let people see that it's not the finish line. That's not the story. The finish line is the result of the story. And the story is what I went through here. And I always use this analogy. People see the guy catch the winning touchdown in the Super Bowl, and he's a star. But they don't see the practice in the middle of July at middle school when everyone else was playing, and he was out there in the hot sun doing two-a-days, and that's what it took to get to the finish line. And I want people to value what they go through in their life and realize that God's helping them with every moment of their life. And the reward will be that you kept the faith.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah, y'all are awesome. Thank you for being with us.